looking at the #1 player in the country, a transcendent player.
James Wiseman ruled ineligible by the NCAA. There's a lot more to come with this story.
Major news in the college basketball world yesterday, and it isn't good. Memphis center James Wiseman announcing on his Instagram page that he would not be returning from his 12-game suspension. He is leaving Memphis to prepare for the 2020 NBA draft.
Well, the fact that he could have still played 16 games. So the fact that this top prospect for the 2020 NBA draft decided to say, actually, I want to have private workouts, I want to be by myself, I think is a huge red flag.
James Wiseman played 3 college games, 2 of them against mid-majors. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've got a big enough sample size for a true evaluation. But sometimes, even in sports, what's understood doesn't have to be explained. 7 foot, 247 pounds, 7'5" wingspan, runs like a gazelle, and jumps like a jackrabbit. In other words, he was a top 5 pick before he even stepped on the court at Memphis. His physical gifts are just too hard to ignore, even if he does play the basketball version of running back. Go back to the 90s, and star running backs dominated the NFL as the best teams' offenses were generally built around them. You look in the NBA at that same time, and the same could be said for the big man. Every good team had one, and their offense was built around them. Now, you fast forward to today, and you know the deal. Both of these once predominant positions now sit at the bottom of the positional value chart. So now the question is, how good of a player, how special of a talent do you have to be to break that value chart? There's a ton of irony in this, really, if you think about it with the Warriors in particular. They had spent 2 decades whiffing on big men. Then they became the team that got the big man up out of here. What's that saying that wise people always use? Everything is cyclical, from style to the economy to sports. Right now in basketball, there's just simply not enough of them to go around, right? I broke them down into 4 tiers: franchise, special weapon, starter, and role player. You can see the rare air at the top, and this is exactly why teams have backed off taking bigs so high in the draft. Bums are off the list. All these players are actually utilized by their teams, just in different roles, right? Because of Wiseman's physical attributes, the day he steps on the floor, at the very least, he's a role player. Now, what does he have to do to be a starter? He's skilled enough already to where it's mostly between the ears. He has to understand his team's concepts. But taking that leap to special weapon, first and foremost, it's going to take some experience, right? He's going to have to spend some time in the classroom getting schooled before he has an idea of team and player tendencies. He will also have to get stronger in his body and in his technique. But looking at everything I just said he would have to do to climb to this tier, it seems very doable, right? Now, that final franchise tier, that has a lot to do with mentality, and that's where I find it toughest to gauge Wiseman with such a small sample size. He seems like he enjoys playing the game of basketball, right? And he plays hard enough, but in 3 games, man, I can't give you a read on his mentality. The chances are he doesn't have an alpha mentality. Here's what I can tell you. He's about as smooth a 7-footer as I've seen moving up and down the court. He gets off the ground effortlessly and extremely quick, which gives him great second jump ability. But he also plays high in his hips, which probably helps him get up quick, but hurts him laterally in playing through contact. Much like Obi Toppin, but it's different because with Toppin, I don't think he has any choice with those stiff hips. With Wiseman, it appears more of like a preference, probably something he developed in high school where he never had to brace for contact. But with his length and quick leaping, he's the type that'll let you go by just depending on the glass. His ability to extreme gap and still recover with his length, all while moving like a wing, puts him defensively in the Anthony Davis archetype. Becoming an elite defensive big is what he should strive to hang his hat on his entire career. And from what I've outlined earlier, there's a very reasonable path to doing so. Basically, as long as he works like a pro and is not mentally slow, he should get there. So that would make him a special weapon. Is there a way he becomes a franchise guy? Look, his footwork, it's not really polished, but it's nimble. He'll never have the footwork or post moves of an Embiid. But how many 7-footers in this era do? Forget about being a floor general and having the passing skills of the Joker. I mean, that's developed way before now. But what has ultimately shot Wiseman up my draft board, when I watch him shoot, I see a left-handed Kevin Garnett. He's already very comfortable in that high post range, much like the big ticket. But so what, right? Will he be able to extend that out to where it matters? Look, I've got a strong blink on this one, man. If you trust my thin slicing, he's not only going to shoot the three, but he's going to do it more than adequately. Now, you may say, well, Alk, KG didn't shoot the threes. And here's the thing about shooting that a lot of people don't realize. The mental foundation is set way sooner than you think. If you don't get confident or comfortable shooting the ball by the time you're 13, 14 years old, the chances are you're never going to be a shooter. So you see guys like Andre Drummond and Kevon Looney who look mechanically sound, knock 3 after 3 down in practice, get them in the game, and it's just not there. This is where the new breed of big is different. These young boys coming now, we're watching the Splash Bros turn the 3-ball into the new dunk. So in other words, they've been shooting threes since they were 12, 13, 14 years old. There's no mental block. Adapt or die. There's a new breed of big man that's coming, and there's already a few in the league. The 3-and-D center. Jaren Jackson Jr., Miles Turner, he doesn't have no D. Embiid, wait, he ain't got no 3. All right, you get my point, right? There are a few striving to be, but Jackson Jr. is probably really the true first of this archetype. A big that you actually want to take it. Not can take it, but want them to take it. And then on the other end, not just a rim protector, but versatile enough to switch out and stay on the floor against most all lineups. Now, you could point to AD, but again, want taking the 3, not can take the 3. Obviously, we haven't seen nearly enough of James Wiseman to draw a strong projection. But I think he could be the first superstar 3-and-D center. And for that possibility alone, I think you have to take him number 1. Y'all like that? Y'all like that scouting report? It was fire, right? I put a lot of time into scouting this draft, man, as we had so much time during the layoff in this quarantine, right? So I spent a week on each top player in the first round. I'd say about 13 or 14 of them. I didn't go all 30, you know what I mean? But at least the lottery pick. And I have a unique breakdown on all of them on my Patreon. Now, I hear a lot of you saying, man, hey, Al, keep grinding, baby. You should have way more subs than this. I think I should too, but hey, it is what it is, man. Maybe I'm not for the masses. But if you really want to support me and you want to see me continuing to make content, go check my Patreon out. You can see I'm not paying the bills from this YouTube channel, right? This is a small channel here, but the support I'm getting on Patreon is. And maybe there's a reason why I'm getting so much support on Patreon, because it's a hell of a deal and I'm pouring all my content into there and I'm very proud of it. So if you're interested in this draft, I've got scouting reports of all the top picks like this Wiseman one. A lot of them are actually longer than the Wiseman one. The Wiseman one was one of the shorter ones, but to go along with that, you get a couple big game breakdowns of the playoff games in the bubble. There's exclusive Warrior content. I went live yesterday for the lottery. That's where all my stuff's at. Now, you can continue to get the NBA now and the snippets and the YouTube stuff. Please continue to support me here. But if you want me to keep going, you like your boy, and you want to support real, authentic basketball coverage, check out my Patreon. As always, I appreciate y'all. I'm out.